This is WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana, and you are watching True Crime with the Bet Girl, the Playa, Dangerous Davis, and the president on the Monty and Pharaoh YouTube network. Arriba!
Well, good evening and welcome to True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Playa, and Dangerous Dave. I am Benny Scala, the one and only Playa. And with me, as always, is my partner in True Crime. She is a New England professional wrestling Hall of Famer. She is Archie's mom, and she can beat a baby face down with a smile on her face. And I could only be talking about the very bad co-host, the Boston Bad Girl, Brittany Brown. Brittany, how are you?
I'm doing okay, but for having a day off, I've been up since 6:45, which is not like me. I'm a late sleeper on days off. So,
oh, are you really?
I'll tell you.
You know what? If you came to my house and I was in bed at 6:45, I would just, the standing instructions would be pull a sheet over me and call a coroner. I don't think I've ever slept that late in my whole. I am not a sleeper. I wish I was, though. Just can't. I've never been able to sleep.
My weekends, the absolute earliest, and Dave will tell you this because he knows me well. 10 is the absolute earliest for Saturday and Sunday.
I admire you for many reasons. Now there's another one because I can't sleep. But speaking of Dangerous Dave, we're delighted to have Dangerous Dave Star back. Now rumor has it that Bill Belichick calls Dangerous Dave for dating advice. Now I may be the one and only Playa, but this guy is the lady slayer. Dave, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all our podcast listeners out there. We got a fantastic true crime podcast for you tonight. I'm delighted to be back, and as I always do, and I will always say, I swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me.
Yes, absolutely. So, folks, as always, we must open to pay the bills with a quick word from our sponsor and then on to our case. So, guys, if you've been injured in a car accident, please reach out to our good friend Adam Burbrower at the Burbrower Law Firm. Adam and his crew do things the right way with great results. Not only is Adam a great attorney, but the dude has framed pictures of Ernie the Cat Lad, the unpredictable Johnny Rods, and, of course, the Boston Bad Girl in his office. How cool is that? So if you see Adam at the community pool trying to nail a triple Lindy, you'll notice superstar Billy Graham on his back and Bret the Hitman Hart on his chest. The guy is not only the man of the hour, the man with the legal power, too sweet to be sour, he's also the excellence of elocution. And besides being a great guy, Adam is a true crime aficionado and avid WWF historian. Who else can get you a great settlement while waxing eloquently about the life and times of the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty?
The Duke.
The Duke. Check out Adam at burbrowerlaw.com and follow him on Facebook. And don't forget to tell him that the Bad Girl, the Playa, and Dangerous Dave sent you. So, guys, on to the show. Now, to be honest, I had never heard of the subject of tonight's case. Dave recommended this one, and once I looked into it, boy, oh boy, was I hooked. Very interesting stuff. Dave, how did you come upon the mystery of Maura Murray?
Well, my daughter had lived I lived in Brockton, in the surrounding town, so obviously I knew where Hanson was, been to Hanson many times. But my daughter had lived there way back when this first happened. I used to go visit my daughter in Hanson, and that's when it caught my attention. What happened to her, and that's how I got more involved as the years went on, because they had more information that came out, more documentaries that came out. Try to sift through the ones that really want to get to the bottom of it and the ones that just want ratings. And I've been following it, and that's basically how I came upon it. My daughter used to live there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was a very well kept secret. I know Brittany had heard of it, and I guess it, I'm assuming it was very, a regional type thing, but I kind of imagine that it was pretty national as well. Maybe I just missed that one, but for those of you like me who are saying, who is he speaking about? I'm going to steal a phrase from that idiot Conan and speak on this, oil of Olay. Maura Murray, born May 4th, 1982, is an American woman. Think of the Guess Who song, right? Great song. Who disappeared on the evening of February 9, 2004, after a car crash on Route 112 near Woodsville, New Hampshire, in a village in the town of Haverhill. Her whereabouts remain unknown. We just passed year 21 of her disappearance. So Maura was a 21-year-old nursing student, completing her junior year at the University of Massachusetts Amherst at the time of her disappearance. And the bad girl will take it from here.
All right. So shortly before her disappearance, Maura emailed her professors and told them, isn't she cute? I think she's so
She's
cute.
absolutely
I really
beautiful
do.
girl, yeah.
You just want to pinch her cheek. She's so cute.
Yeah.
She emailed her professors and told them that she would be taking a week off due to a death in her family. However, there was no death in her family. She went to an ATM and withdrew $280 of the $296 that she had in the bank. She then purchased $40 of alcohol at a liquor store. She previously had done some online searches for lodging in Vermont and New Hampshire. She had packed many of her belongings from her dorm room. Her last known call was around 4:30 p.m. when she called to check her voicemail. At 7:27 p.m., a local woman reported a car accident on a sharp corner of Route 112 in New Hampshire, adjacent to her home. A passing motorist who also lived nearby stopped at the scene and asked the woman driving the car if she needed assistance. She declined, claiming to have called AAA. However, she could not have done this, as she would not have had cell phone service in this secluded location. Upon arriving home several minutes later, the motorist reported the accident to emergency services. At 7:46 p.m., law enforcement arrived at the scene, but Maura had disappeared. The windshield was cracked and the airbags were deployed. Her wallet, keys, phone, and most of the alcohol were missing. There was some red liquid on one of the seats and on top of the vehicle, which was believed to be wine. Maura's family was not notified of the abandoned vehicle until late the next day, which was Tuesday. Upon this notification, her father drove the 5 hours to New Hampshire. He arrived early Wednesday morning to join the search party. The only problem is he was the search party. Local police were inclined to treat Maura's disappearance as a missing persons case. However, after much pressure from the Murray family, they started doing some investigation. Maura's father eventually sued the state of New Hampshire for the case files in an effort to further the investigation. There had been no activity on Maura's phone or her debit card after the day of her disappearance. Despite the efforts of the family, volunteers, and the police, there are absolutely no clues as to Maura's fate.
So I'm going to go around the table. Brittany first. Maura Murray, dead or alive, and why?
So I originally felt alive. Now I'm kind of on the fence because I'll tell you why. So the reason I thought alive was because to me, it was very evident that she was leaving based on packing up, withdrawing all the money, lying about somebody being dead in the family. So it was evident she was going somewhere. However, I don't think she was going somewhere for 21 years. I really don't.
Right.
I think she was planning to go to Vermont, or New Hampshire, Loon Mountain, meet friends, stay with people she met, whatever. And then I think something happened. So I don't know. I'm really on the fence. I originally, after watching what I watched and listening to the podcasts that Julie Murray was nice enough to tell me to listen to, and also Dangerous Dave and his daughter gave me some information on some very good podcasts that I listened to. I don't know. I'm totally on the fence.
Dave, how about you?
I believe, first of all, I want to say, being the father of two daughters, my heart goes out to the Murray family. I don't mean to be graphic, I only want to be graphic because I want to get to the to what happened to her. So my heart goes out to them. I believe she is dead. I believe she was dead probably 2 or 3 days after. She was a troubled woman. She had some issues emotionally. She had cracked her father's car up a couple days before, I think was weighing on her and her sister. And like everyone, she wanted to get away a few days and have some cocktails and be alone, maybe be with some friends. Um, I believe I listened to her dorm, an interview with her, one of her dorm friends, her best friends, saying that she had turned in her paperwork for her assignment on something to do with maternities and babies and that subject. She turned it in. I believe the photos of her in that at that ATM machine that the police were nice enough to release shows that she was alone. No one walked in there with her. There was no cars in the background. They finally interviewed the 3 police officers that have taken a lot of heat, although I think that police were lackadaisical in their duties. I do not believe they had anything to do with her disappearance.
Right.
I
Agreed.
believe she was drinking the whole time. Why she would drive 4 hours on her own, I don't know, but she had contact. She was from that. She used to vacation with her family up in that area, so she knew it.
Right.
She called the condo for some bookings previous to that, but they didn't have any. I believe she was drinking. I think she had some emotional and mental problems at the time. I don't think she was mental. I think she had some problems like we all do. A lot of stuff on her mind. She was drinking, cracked her car up. Unfortunately, she didn't go with Butch, the bus driver. I wish she did, who came upon the scene. She was by herself.
Good Samaritan.
Yep, I think she did not wander into the woods because I believe if she did, she would have brought her booze with her. She would have bought the bottle of vodka, for warmth. I just believe that she locked her car up. Butch left. I wish she had gone with Butch because I believe she still would have been alive today. I believe that she locked her car up, started walking, and about 200 yards, somebody came because that's where the cadaver dogs lost her scent in the middle of the road. And I don't know if she knew the person she got in the car with or didn't know the person, but I believe she got in that car, and that was the end of Maura Murray.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be the contrarian here. I'm going to say that Maura Murray is alive, and I'll give you my theory. I was not a fan, and I watched the Peacock documentary, which was very, very good, that Brittany told me about. It was with a Maggie Frayling, who was an investigative reporter. I thought she did a phenomenal job. And then she was with a guy named Art Roderick. I believe he's retired FBI. They did just an excellent job. But I tell you what, her father, his name is Fred, right? Fred Murray?
Yes.
Yep.
To me, he did not. I was not very impressed with him at all. I think, and I'm trying to play amateur psychologist here. I mean, my degree's in accounting, but I really think that he pushed those girls so hard. And let's look at Maura for a second. She got accepted to West Point. Now, you don't get accepted to West Point by accident. You have to be a superstar. So she obviously excelled in a lot of academically, athletically, and then she gets what did she steal? Like some makeup or something like that?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. So she blew her whole deal with West Point over supposedly it was $5 worth of merchandise. Then
Crazy.
she says that she wants to go to UMass and study nursing. She does that. All is well. But then what was it? A few months before she went missing, she got busted for stealing some pizzas, I guess. Not stealing pizzas, but ordering pizzas with a stolen credit card. Right. And by the grace of God, and maybe like a very lenient judge, she was just kind of given a slap on the wrist was told, I guess, as long as you stay clean for the next few months and don't get in trouble, well, then we'll drop this thing. Well, what happens 2 days before the disappearance? She's driving the dad's branded car, I think it was, and wrecks it. And now I don't know about this, and it wasn't really, I don't think it was in the documentary. If it was, I missed it, but I don't know if he was on the hook for the damage or not. Whether he was or not, I'm sure he was like livid. And, they said something, they showed a clip of him saying, Maura, no matter what, like, we can work this out. And, I think his name was James Renner, the guy who wrote the book about her.
Yeah.
And he kind of pointed your thumbs down on Renner. Yeah, I would agree.
Yep.
I would agree with you. He was off on a lot of stuff. Definitely.
Yep.
He missed the mark on a lot of stuff. He alleged that Fred Murray sexually abused Maura, which I mean, that is one thing I don't think he did. I do think that he drove those girls so hard that, he was I would say he was a tyrant, with those girls. So I think, the combination of, messing up at West Point, then getting in trouble with the law, and then wrecking the dad's brand new car, I think it compelled her to, I mean, she didn't tell her family that she was going anywhere, right? She didn't tell anybody. She emailed her professors, like Brittany said, and said, I have a death in the family. Of course, there was no death in the family. Didn't tell her own family. It takes every last penny out of the bank. Well, close. You can't, if you have 296 in the bank, you can either take out 280 or 300. So she was $4 short, unfortunately. Right. Then gets, stockpiles a bunch of booze. And then I think, from my perspective, she was trying to, start life over again. Maybe she was going to contact the family once she settled down. But I think what happened is, I don't know. I mean, I think, the way the documentary portrayed it, I think Dave said that she did not go in the woods when that car wrecked. And I agree. She should have listened to Butch Atwood and taken the help. She told him that she called AAA. By the time they got back, the police got back, she was gone. But those scent dogs, all they traced was her on the road for a certain amount of time, right? It wasn't that long. And then the trail just stops, leading anybody to believe she got in the car. Well, it's only one or two things. She got in the car with a stranger, or she got in the car with somebody she knew. If she got in the car with somebody she knew, then she planned the whole thing. If she got in a car with a stranger, well, it was either a good stranger or a bad stranger. If it was a bad stranger, then yeah, she probably is dead. But to me, I think the chances of that are less than, her getting in the car with, I believe there was the odds were greater that car that picked her up was somebody that she knew. Otherwise, she would have walked over to me, like she would have walked to one of the houses, which were very close by, and knocked on somebody's door. So that's my theory.
I agree with you. I actually went over that with my daughter. Like, why wouldn't she just, even if she didn't want to go with Butch, the bus driver, why wouldn't you just walk over? I personally, if my car was that, I would have just walked over to one of these houses and knocked on the door. I would have told the bus driver I need help. Never mind. I wouldn't have let him go. But it's a tough case. I think Fred was, I'm going to say he was being the father of two daughters. I think he was a good father, stern father. He used to take his kids on vacation all the time. He even had his wife, even had his ex-wife, even had a child that wasn't his that he took. I think he was a decent person. I think he just wanted what was good for his daughters. The mother was sick. The mother was very sick. I just can't see her walking away from her mother and her sisters. I just can't see it. It doesn't make no sense why she would do that. There's nothing major in her life that can't be fixed. Like this, she didn't murder anybody.
Right.
She didn't murder anybody.
I agree with you, Dave. I guess, I think she had some kind of, almost like she didn't want to succeed. Like she did. I don't know if she didn't think she deserved it, or, she self-destructed at West Point, by stealing that. Because I'm sure she could have made the grades. And then she's, semi-self-destructed at UMass when she ordered those pizzas with a stolen credit card. Why do you think she did that? It doesn't really fit with the rest of her character.
I think she wanted out of West Point anyways. I think she was looking for a way to get out of there. I don't think she wanted to be there anymore, and I think stealing would be one way that they would get you out of there. She went to UMass. She wasn't a stupid girl. She was a good athletic girl. She was tough. She was strong. I just think she had some emotional problems, like some of us do. I think that, and to be honest, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm in Connecticut right now. I had to come here. And if I didn't make it to Connecticut this weekend, I was going to go get a hotel in Hull for a couple days and get some drinks and go away and just relax and walk the beach and go down to the restaurants and just get away for a day. But I ended up coming to Connecticut with my daughters. So I can kind of understand what she was doing. I don't understand why she would drive 4 hours away by herself. I don't get that. I mean, there's so many. But you got to listen to what the father says, you know. I mean, they asked him point blank, what do you think happened to your daughter? And he said, well, I think she got abducted and she was killed. What
Right.
parent would say that? Unless you have proof, unless you have a gut feeling, most parents would say, well, I think she was harmed, but I'm hoping not because we don't have any answers yet. But he came out and said, I think she was killed and abducted and killed. He was in Connecticut. Her boyfriend was down in Oklahoma. I just think I told my daughters this, you got to remember one thing. Brittany's in insurance. Brittany does good insurance. Police officers do what they do. It's good. You know, I'm a lover. I do that good. A serial killer is good at what he does.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So that long, winding, dark, black road, how do you know? And when you talk to the state police officer, he said he went the opposite direction because there were restaurants, there was population that way, there was stores that way. So, I mean, how do you know there's not a serial killer around who goes up and down that road, goes and hangs out down there with the restaurants and the stores are, goes back down that road waiting for something or someone? You just don't know. That's what they do. They're opportunists.
That would certainly be the place, I guess, if you were that kind of person, you know, that what better place to find a victim than right in that, you know, it was very isolated. No cell service, right?
Right.
No. Oh, and they know that. How do you know someone didn't stop and say, hey, I'm going up, or where are you going? Hey, I'm trying to get to the mountains, or where she was going. I don't know if it was Loon Mountain. And he said, hey, me too. That's where I'm going. Get in. I'll drive you up there. Okay. And she gets in, you know. But this is a difficult situation. What I don't understand, though, is why the Murray family never put a reward out. Like,
right.
when you see him putting all the signs up that says missing, her picture, description, was never a reward saying if you see her or know her whereabouts, you know, whatever it may be, 10,000, please contact this number. There's a reward out. There never was a reward out, you know. And
Good point. Good point.
I don't understand why they did. Yeah, I don't understand why they never put a reward out. And I don't believe the people that were on the documentaries that said, oh, I seen her. She came in here and I saw her. That is her. I don't believe them. It's just like the police get 20,000 tips on a case and, you know, all of them are not real, like they're dead ends. I don't believe the people that said that, oh, she went into the store. I saw her. I don't believe that. But I'm just kind of curious why they never put a reward out for her.
No, good point. And I think in the documentary, wasn't it a record store in Canada that somebody supposedly saw her, but they took the trouble of going all the way to Canada. I guess the original guy Renner, and I guess they negated that one. But
I mean, he's trying to sell books. You know, he's trying to sell books. He's trying to be sensational. He's trying to sensationalize it and try to come up with something.
That Peacock documentary, that girl Maggie Frailing, I think she did a lot more homework than he did. I think she torpedoed a lot of his book sales, and I, you know, quite frankly, I am more inclined to believe, you know, what I saw in that documentary than from what I heard from reading his book. But Brittany, let me ask you a question. So this is the part that, you know, she didn't just pack up for a road trip. I mean, I get that, you know, she wanted to get away, but she really, from what I understand, she really did a good job packing. She packed up that whole dorm room, didn't she?
That's my understanding, is that
Right.
that she packed up the whole dorm room. And I also understand, and again, we don't know whether this stuff is true or not, but I also understand that she just found out that her boyfriend cheated on her.
Yes.
So we can add that to the group of things that, you know, cracked up the car, you know, got in trouble at school, all this stuff. And allegedly there was an email from her boyfriend the night before she left that they were able to find, and he was apologizing for cheating on her. So
Okay.
maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back, that said, you know, F it, I've had it, I'm out of here.
And it was, I mean, probably stressful to begin with because it was a long distance relationship. He lived in Oklahoma, not lived, but wasn't he going to school in Oklahoma, I believe? Or was he stationed up in Oklahoma?
He was stationed there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So she had that. Now there was something else as well. Supposedly, I guess 3 days before she disappeared, I think it was the night before she wrecked the car. She was at work and she got a phone call that supposedly made her hysterical. And they were, you know, everybody was wondering what it is, but I think they narrowed it down to the fact that it was from Kathleen, right? The other sister,
Yes.
And that Kathleen had been in rehab and that she had already relapsed. And I think Maura just was, you know, she really felt for her sister. I mean, they seem like a pretty tight family.
Yeah. Which is also why I have a hard time believing that she would really want to leave her family, because what I tried to do is put myself in her shoes. And almost everybody in my family I could have left for 20 plus years, except for my father. My father was my best friend, and I spent every weekend with him, nights at his house. I mean, we were best friends.
He never missed a single one of your shows, right?
Yep.
That's amazing.
There's no way that I ever would have wanted to do that, to be away from him, but would I have ever put him through that? Now, everybody has someone like that in their life, at least one. You know, usually it's their mother, their father, their brothers, their sisters. And in her case, I feel like it was probably her mother, like Dave said, her father, and Julie, definitely. It seems like they were super close. So that's the part I can't understand, because I could never have done that to my father. Never, never. And I cracked my father's car up when it was brand new. Absolutely. And my father demanded straight A's. He demanded the best colleges. We had ridiculous times that we had to be in the house by 8:30 at night when everybody else could stay out till midnight. My father was extremely strict, but he ended up being my best friend. And I realized when I got older that he did everything he did for my safety.
Right.
I don't know if she was at that age yet that she would have realized that, but I still don't. I find it hard to believe she would have put Julie, her mother, or her father through that. I find it hard to believe that. I think she just wanted to get away, even if it was just for a week. You know, the week that she said, I'm going to need off because someone died. Maybe it was just for a week that she wanted to go away.
I just want to make a correction.
Go ahead.
She wasn't packing up her dorm room. She was unpacking her dorm room. And she hadn't finished unpacking it. She had just moved into her room.
Okay, so that would explain the boxes. Okay, so all right.
Because her mother and her brother visited her the day before. So she hadn't totally unpacked her dorm room yet. So that's why they had the boxes. She wasn't packing up to leave. She was unpacking for her school year.
Okay, that makes a lot
I
more
was just
sense.
referring to the stuff she took with her. That's what I meant when I said she packed up. The stuff that she took with her to go on this trip, that we don't know was or was not a trip. But I just find it strange that you would take all your money out. Now, Dave, you said you were going to go to Hull if you didn't go to Connecticut. Would you
Mhm.
have drained everything but $16 out of your account when you did that? No.
Well, the thing is, she didn't have much money in the bank to drain out. So I would have took, obviously, I would have took some money out to go to the restaurants and go drinking and stuff like that. I mean, if I only had $300 in the bank and I was going to go to Hull for the weekend, yeah, I would have took probably $250 out, 275 to go have fun. You know what I mean? I think that I just can't see this girl walking away from her family. I just can't. I can't see her walking away from her mother. And I'm so happy they interviewed the cops with the assistant attorney general, because I actually thought the cops had something to do with it. I really did at first, because everything had to be perfect, because the cops were there so quick. Like
Yeah.
2 people called 911, so everything had to just go in concession so quick. Everything had to be the perfect storm. You know what I mean? I said, these cops, but once I heard the cops on that documentary speak for the first time, I knew they didn't have anything to do with it. That's why
Yeah.
you gotta, you're gonna hear a lot of bullshit, and then you're gonna hear facts. And that's why you gotta get rid of all the bullshit and listen to the facts. And
That's what, yeah, and I think Renner's book is more the bullshit, and that documentary that I saw. I think they were very, very thorough. They left no stone unturned. I mean, you could tell they put a lot of work into that.
now,
I was go ahead.
if they thought she walked away, the ones that did the documentary, if they thought for a minute that she just walked away and made another life, they went into the woods for 7 hours. They trucked into the woods for 7 hours, deep into the woods, because there was a tip that her body was there. So
Is
they
that
went in.
is that the one, Dave, where they gave the coordinates of
Yes.
and they had to have a mountain guide walk them through.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean
7 hours and 7 hours out. That's.
no.
I mean, if I thought now they're investigative reporters. If I thought for a minute there was a chance that I thought she just left and made a new life, I ain't hiking into the woods for 7 hours and hiking back out for 7.
Right.
That ain't
I agree.
The only thing I could think of, back in 2004, you had all those chat rooms, and I met a couple of very nice ladies that I wound up having relationships with in the chat rooms, and I'm just wondering if $280 even in 2004, which is $240 after you buy the booze. And I'm sure she had to buy gas on the way, because that piece of shit Saturn she was driving on 3 cylinders, I'm sure it couldn't get very good gas mileage. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's realistically, it would be very hard to start a new life on $200, right? Unless the person that picked her up was somebody she had met online. But then I would have thought like that would have been uncovered when they looked at her computer.
True.
Yeah, well, there was this guy named Tom. Don't forget about Tom. So Tom was someone she met down at, I believe, West Point. Now, her boyfriend cheated on her years before that. That wasn't something new that came out. That's why her sister didn't like the boyfriend.
Nobody liked in the family liked the boyfriend, right? I don't think he was the most popular in the
Cheated on it, but the guy named there was a guy named Tom she was friends with, and Tom would come and visit her when she went to UMass. Now, Julie had an open dialogue with this guy, Tom. and they would talk back and forth. And one question Julie asked him was, have you ever visited my sister at UMass? And he said no. But Julie uncovered photos of him and her sister, Maura, at UMass. And when she confronted him about these pictures and said, you told me you never visited her at UMass, that was the last conversation that he had with her. He would never answer her phone after that. And he always answered his phone. Yeah, he always answered his phone and talked to Julie, always. But once she confronted him with those facts and that conversation ended, he would never talk to her again. Although she called him numerous times, he would never answer her. I find that kind of suspicious.
Me too.
You know,
Yeah.
find that suspicious. You know, I thought that the only thing I thought was not fair was with the two investigators is when they asked the father, did you sexually assault your daughter? I felt so bad for Fred. I felt so bad for him. They should have never asked him that because the facts don't go that way.
Well,
I agree.
You know, we all watch enough true crime on YouTube or, Netflix or whatever. And, 98 times out of 98, they'll ask somebody in prison, did you murder such and such? And they'll say absolutely not. And you know that 98 out of 98 of them are lying. By the way, they say absolutely not. The way he reacted, there is no way. I mean, he turned beet red in like a second. And I mean, I thought he was going to have a stroke. You could tell that was a man like that. You're cutting his heart out by even asking him that question.
I know.
I felt bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. I don't know. Maybe Dave's right. Maybe, and Brittany, you bring up, your father was really, really tough on you, but you, as you got older, you learned to appreciate it. That he did it for a reason. He did it for your own good.
Right.
Yeah, he struck me as, but he was definitely very, very hard on them. And maybe she just had the demeanor, the personality that, maybe it just broke her. I don't know. I mean, we don't know because we don't really know her. I mean, and obviously now Julie seems to be okay, but I know Kathleen, at least in the documentary, she was in and out of rehab. And when, her interview with Maggie was very interesting in that hotel room.
Yeah.
And it was funny because they had the FBI guy and they had who was it? I guess she wasn't the psychic. It was somebody who was good with lie detectors and stuff like that. And they were both saying, okay, well, she's got her ankles crossed, and so she's still hiding stuff. And then she put both feet. Well, now she's opening up a little bit, and I was very impressed by how like all these signals, meant something.
I know.
When every time she turned to the right, she was thinking of something, but it seemed like that she gradually kind of not melted, but I mean she opened up a little bit, and she really gave some good information. But I mean, at least we know that that phone call, and the reason why Maura was so shattered, I guess, was because she had relapsed again.
Yeah, well, I thought when they interviewed Kathleen, at times it looked like Marty Feldman. I mean, I thought her eyeballs were going to come out of her head. She didn't.
You're definitely dating yourself, and I'm dating myself because I know who you're talking about.
I don't think that girl looked right. That's just my opinion. She looked bizarre. Her eyeball.
She was very. Her reactions to questions were not like. They weren't normal. I mean,
Right.
There was. She was.
I agree.
Something wasn't. There was her wiring wasn't quite right, and then Julie, I thought, came off as pretty. I don't know. She seemed like very on the cold side, though.
Well, I mean, listen, they're tough girls. They went to West Point. I mean, how many people could go through West Point? So the grueling.
Did Julie also go to West Point?
She did. She also went.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to be pretty tough to go through West Point. They both went to West Point. So I just think that I don't know why she wouldn't tell anybody she was going away. I think when she cracked her father's car up, it really set things in motion mentally. She was at a party. They talked to her friends. Her friends who were at the party said she was normal, same Maura, same Maura we knew. Nothing came, screeching out at us. She didn't say nothing. She didn't complain about nothing. She didn't let nothing on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because if you're with people that you're close with, and that you may, assuming that she was going to go off the grid forever, you're never going to see these people again. I would think she probably would have started, any normal person would have had a very emotional reaction at that.
Well, I mean, if you have a close friend there, like say, there are pictures of her at a party with 8, 9 people, at least one girl, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to go away for a week. I'm going to go get shit-faced and just relax and get a condo and whatever she didn't confide into anybody. Nothing. Like absolutely nothing. It's like, I just think that she wanted to get away. I think she just wanted to get away for a week, get shit-faced, relax, get her thoughts together, get her track she had to go, the steps she had to take, get her shit together, and it was just a perfect storm on that road. Everything happened so quick.
Let me do a quick shout out to the I'm sorry, Brittany. A quick shout out to the usual suspects. We got Jason Moaning, we got Phil, and we have my nephew Joe Gadis. Joe is a fellow Massachusettsan. How do you say that? But Joe is my sister's older son. He's one of a twin. He is. I'm going to put him over here for a second. Joe's a great. I don't want to say kid. He's not a kid anymore. But Joe is a sailor, and then Joe is also a teacher. He's a great father to 2 beautiful daughters. And then Joe also has fought in MMA, and he teaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
What town is he from?
I know, Joe. You're going to have to answer that one. I know my niece Teresa, his sister, is from Auburn, Mass, and yeah, and then I'm sorry, Auburn, Maine. My sister is Windham, Maine. Natick.
Oh, Natick. Okay.
Yeah. Doug Flutie area. Doug Flutie town. Natick.
That's right.
Oh, really? Okay. So, I mean,
right. I used to.
I'm sorry, Brittany.
I used to work in Needham, which is right near there. Yeah, good area. Very good area.
Yep.
Now, I wonder if I don't know how long he's lived in Mass, but I wonder if he knew about this story back when it happened.
He was in Mass. I think Joe moved to Mass. I'm going to say around, I don't know, 2015, 2016. Okay. But it was well after the case.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, now I would think, even if she did decide to disappear, don't you? I mean, do you come back like even 10 years later? I mean, you would have to miss, again, she was so close to her family. How do you not miss them? Like you said, Brittany, you can never leave your father.
Yeah. Never.
I could never leave Bray, not even for a day.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I mean,
yep.
Right? Yeah, but I would think, I don't know. I guess maybe I am kind of on the fence. I do think, I know she wanted to get off the grid, and maybe she brought her books because she thought to herself, well, maybe just in case I change my mind, I'll keep up with my schoolwork. And maybe she did. Maybe she got in the wrong car. I mean, that would explain a lot. That would explain no cell phone, no debit card usage, right? Nobody ever heard from this girl again.
Yeah. And, did you guys catch the guy that was a serial killer from that area, and I guess he killed 12 girls in that
No.
area?
Seen that. Seen that.
Okay. So that was part of the documentary, and they actually showed his face and, flashed his face on there in a mugshot. And it was in that area, and they showed another girl that was a little bit younger than Maura, who has never been seen again as well, whose car was backed into a barn. And she's never been seen again either. So you were earlier talking, Benny, about how somebody might be going up and down that road just looking, and I immediately thought of him. Because this guy, if there's 12 that they know about, there's probably 20 or 40 that he did.
Now wait, so where was he located?
New Hampshire, Vermont area.
Okay, so I mean okay. Yeah, I mean
I just wish the neighbors had I just wish the neighbors had just kept looking out the window until the cops came. Like, that's what I would have done. Like, if I called 911, I'm looking out the window until the cops come. See what's going on.
yeah. And then at least they could have said, well, she got into a car. Well, what kind of car was it? And maybe if they were nosy enough, somebody would have went out and got the plates, and this might be a whole different case.
And I do. Yeah. Go ahead, Brittany.
I'm sorry. So if that was in front of my house, I would have gone out and waited with her.
Yeah, if there's a young girl, who's, miles away from home, and, her car is pretty much a total, because you ain't driving that piece of crap anyway, right? And you know that she's alone, with really no way of communicating with her family at that moment. Of course, you're going to make sure that's just common courtesy. You're going to wait till she, finds her way either to a restaurant, come to my house. You can call your family, this way they know you're okay. And maybe if that had happened, it would be a different outcome, because maybe then her father would have said, stay right there, I'm coming to get you, which I'm sure he would have done.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like if the family felt that she just walked away to go make another life, don't you think they would have at least put her pictures on billboards up in Canada, or put her picture on a billboards and pictures in newspapers to see if anybody, like they did Whitey Bulger, to see if anybody has recognized her, but they pretty much gave up, because I think, I think that's what I would have done if I felt that's what my daughter did. I'd be putting her picture on billboards up and through the, through up on the border up to Canada. I would have put a picture. I would do anything. Put ads in newspapers up there. Have you seen this girl? Anything that could rattle somebody's mind, but they didn't do any of that. And I apologize. I apologize if you hear a dog, because I got my grandson Cash in the room with me right now. So he's kind of waiting for his.
We love Cash. He's a great dog.
Hi, Cash.
Yeah, he's whining for his mother.
No, but you're right, because now how many searches did they do, the local police there? Was it quite a few, wasn't it?
They did. Yeah. So they had the cadaver dogs out. They did a 10-mile radius in a circle. And they first started with 2 miles, and the radius went, it kept going, and there was absolutely.
They kept expanding the radius. And how many times did the father go up there to help them?
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I really do, when you see him standing up there. And
I thought it was like he went up there every weekend. I heard for a couple, several years.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, if you think your daughter, much as you would hate to admit it, that she, ran away for a new life, you're not going to come back to the site of the accident, every weekend for years and years to look, to do a search. You're going to look some other way. You're going to use other means. He I think in his mind, he thought that's exactly what happened. Like Dave said, that she met a bad stranger.
Yeah, because they go up there once a year. Every year they go up there. They have a bunch of people. They have a hall they go into, but so they don't. They stop putting pictures of her up. They stop looking for her. So, I mean, you gotta go with what the family thinks. You know, if they thought that she was still alive, they wouldn't have gave up looking for her. But they kind of, when I say gave up, I mean, you know, they're not out putting posters up anymore, billboards up anymore, or doing whatever you can to find her. And every year they go up there and put a ribbon on the tree that she hit.
Yeah.
But what boggles my mind is how quick everything happened that night. You know, like the cops were there within 7-8 minutes. I mean, everything happened just so quick. That's why I just feel like it was either a serial killer that, like I said earlier in the show, that's what they do. You know, that's what they're good at. Abductions. It was a long, dark road with no lights. Yeah, perfect scenario to take someone if you came upon something like that. And I think she got into a car with someone she didn't know, someone that was a good talker. Hey, I'm going to the same place. I'm going up where you're going. Come in. I'll bring you up there. And they might have even made it up there. Maybe they got it. But, I also wanted to mention the boyfriend also said the next day, I think, or 2 days after, got a phone call from a prepaid card that wasn't her with a woman whimpering in the background. And he said he swears that was absolutely Maura, like whimpering and making a little crying noise, and then the phone hung up. It was on his answer machine. He did not answer the phone because he was not home that night. She left a message on his answer machine, and he said came from, I forgot the prepaid card, a Red Cross card or something like that. It wasn't her prepaid card. And it was a girl whimpering and kind of making crying noises. He said, I know that was Maura.
Wow. Interesting.
That was also
Brittany,
in the, yeah.
Yeah, Brittany, I'm sorry, Joe, my nephew, said there was a case, Stacy Burns, who was murdered in New Hampshire in 2009. Was that serial killer active then?
That I don't know. I don't know when he got caught. Obviously, he had to have gotten caught before the documentary, which was 2017.
Right. Does that name sound familiar to either of you, Stacy Burns?
No, I never heard.
Yeah, Joe said Mother's Day 2009, she got murdered in New Hampshire.
I will say, though,
very scary stuff.
I will say the cops are very lackadaisical in their police work. So, I mean, they didn't even notify the family till the next day that they had her car.
Well, yeah, they didn't notify till it was like late on Tuesday. It happened on Monday, right? Late on Tuesday. And I guess Fred did not get there until like the wee hours of Wednesday morning. Mm-hmm. So now, so effectively nothing has been done for 36 hours. And in a case like, any kind of case, the first 24 hours are crucial. So they went 36 hours.
Absolutely.
I mean, if somebody did pick her up, they have a day and a half head start. You're not going to catch them.
Right. Now, what do you guys think about the rumors about there were some guys that didn't show up to work that worked at Loon Mountain that next day? What do you guys feel about that?
I saw that. That could absolutely have something to do with it. Absolutely. I saw that.
It's possible.
Because it makes you wonder, like, allegedly that's the road they would have taken to go to work. but they
Right.
never showed up for work. So it's like, okay, well, they wouldn't have been going to work when that happened, I don't think. Could have. We don't know what hours they worked, you know. But I think there was 2 or 3 of them, and they all didn't show up, and they all drove together, and they didn't go to work that day. How
Right.
strange is that?
Very suspicious. Because they could have also said, hey, we work at Loon Mountain. That's where we're going. Hop in for a ride. You know what I mean? Hey, you want a beer? They could have spiked your beer. They could have had, hey, you want a drink? They could have spiked your drink. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
So
scary.
last question. Do we ever find out what happens to her in our lifetime?
I hope so, but I don't think so.
The only way you're ever going to find out what happened to Maura Murray is how sometimes other deaths get solved. Some hunters are hunting in the woods. Okay, Cashy. Some hunters are hunting in the woods.
He's got his own opinion, obviously.
And they find her bones. They find any bones, or they find a barrel with a body in it. But other than that,
I mean,
I
how
don't,
many places could it be? Like, yeah.
you know, and don't forget Molly Bish also was killed. Don't forget Molly Bish. She was also killed up there.
Right. That was a big case.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, this poor family has suffered for 2 decades. I mean, for their sake, I hope it does.
I do too. All I got to say is whoever took her knew what they were doing. They were good at it, because by the time the cops came, she vanished without a trace. Vanished without a fucking trace.
Yep. So
Could
sad.
this
So
happen in
sad.
2025?
Say that again, Benny.
I said, could this happen in 2025?
Does all the time.
Probably,
Does all the
probably
time.
not on roads anymore, because think about it, that's how Aaron Hernandez ended up getting caught, because of cameras on the road. Now, would there be cameras on a road like that? Probably not. So you're
Well,
probably right, Dave. It probably could still happen.
well, there's a frame called catfishing. Do you know what catfishing is?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, and I think that happens a lot. Sometimes the police act like they're person talking to an underage girl, and the underage girl thinks they're talking to this guy, and for whatever reasons goes and meet the guy, but the police are there. You know what I mean? The police are monitoring it.
Well,
But there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of.
living doing that.
It's called catfishing. Who knows? Maybe she was talking to someone that catfished her. You know, all I know, whatever happened that night happened fucking quick. And
I'm going to go with that, Dave. I'm going to say that maybe she did go to start a new life, and maybe she did have this plan, but she just. She didn't know this guy. She might have met him randomly online, because, now we're in the internet age in 2004, and she just cast her lot with the wrong person.
Yeah.
All I know is whatever car she got into that night was not good.
Right.
Right.
Was not good, unfortunately. And I'm not saying they killed her right away. They might have went and got a place. Hey, you want to go drinking? Who knows what happened that night? All I know is that I wish she had gone with Butch, the bus driver, or knocked in one of the neighbors' houses. I just wish she had done that, because I think she'd be alive today. I just don't think she would walk away from her mother. And her sister, Julie, because they were close. I just don't think she would. I just think she had problems, emotional problems.
She did. She did.
Cracked her father's car up, wanted to get some alcohol, go away, get fucked up, relax for a while, get my thoughts together, and I'll be back.
We all want that once in a while.
Yeah, I'll be back to my week, and unfortunately, I don't know why she didn't tell anybody or friend, anybody, hey, I'm going away up here. This is my plans. I mean, I would have, even if I told, my school or my professor or whatever, hey, there's a death in the family, but I'm going to
Yeah, I
confide in
mean,
someone.
you want to tell somebody, hey, just in case, I am going to be here. I mean, you're 21 years old, you're traveling, hours away from
By
home. Don't you
yourself.
want somebody to know, hey, just in case, this is where I'm going, please, if you don't hear from me, please call me, just let somebody else know. That part doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, especially in a car like that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
And
you're
I,
talking about what, 3 cylinders ran out of 4 on a 1998 Saturn?
she turned in her homework. She turned in her homework. I believe she would be back. If she wasn't coming back, she wouldn't have done her homework. She wouldn't have wasted her time on it. She would have been gone, but
Yeah. No, that
just
is a very good point.
just the things of family, they I'm not saying they gave up. So if they're watching
No.
the podcast, that's not how it's meant to be. But
No.
it seems like it's over. It's been over for years as far as searching.
Yeah.
And like I said, I listened to the father when they asked him, "What do you think happened to your daughter?" And he said, "I think she got abducted by someone that night. That car she got in, she's dead." He's the father. He's got the gut feeling, and I think Julie, when you listen to Julie talk and you see her being interviewed on that documentary, I think they all know. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, normally, like you're always going to get the parent. Well, I know she's out there somewhere. When you get to that point where you're saying that you think that's what happened to her, I think you pretty much know that that's what happened to her.
And wouldn't she come back for the mother's funeral when the mother passed? I mean, at least,
Absolutely.
even if she went away to make a new life, you have
And she knew, and the mom was sick at that time, right? She knew the mom was terminally ill.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one to overcome. How it's your own mother.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
My condolences to the family. That must be. I mean, to have someone killed and and you get the body back, to not know what the fuck happened to your kid,
Right.
is grueling, because it would pretty much fuck me up if that happened to one of my daughters.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and this is a 21-year-old beautiful girl, athletic, smart, studying nursing, has her whole life ahead of her, such a phenomenal future, and just to have it end like that, and you see her one day, the next day she's gone forever. I mean, how do you even deal with that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a shame.
And I feel very bad for Julie, because she said so many times how close they were and how they were such best friends. And that's so awesome, because unfortunately that didn't happen in my family. My sister and I were never best friends. My sister and I don't speak. We have nothing to do with each other. And to see that kind of love and friendship, in two sisters, it was something I always wanted, but I never had. So I think she comes off as being cold because she probably has to be.
Yeah, I mean, how do
Because
you deal with something like that? I mean, to have gone through that for years, I mean, that would kill off a lot of people's emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to apologize. I think I was a little bit too tough on her. But Joe also has made a comment. What do you guys think of the theory that there's a serial killer active in Boston with the bodies periodically found in the Charles River? Have bodies been found in the Charles River?
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge. I can't comment on that because I don't know anything about bodies being found in the Charles River. I don't know.
Yeah, and actually, Dave, you brought up something the other day about, didn't you say something about New Bedford also? About a case where a whole bunch of different bodies?
The New Bedford Highway killer, where he found like 11 or 12 girls off of Route 140 in the woods. That was back in the 80s.
Imagine that.
They've never solved that.
And I never heard of that, and I'm from Massachusetts.
Yep.
Imagine that.
And the reason I know that, because my friend lived in New Bedford, my best friend, so I used to go down there and see him. In the 80s, they found 12 women killed off the highway in 140, going past the Silver City Galleria, like you're heading down to New Bedford, in about 10 to 12 to 15 feet into the woods off the highways.
Wow.
And they've never
Yeah.
solved it. They've never solved the case. No one's
And
been
it just
arrested.
happens everywhere. Everywhere this happens. It's so sad.
And these guys are good at what they do. That's their profession. You know what I mean? And that's why I tell my granddaughter,
Yeah. Yeah.
be
The good
aware of
Lord,
things.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Never think it's not going to happen to you, because it can.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the good Lord gives us all gifts. And, I mean, I'm always like, these guys that are computer hackers, like, why don't you use your obviously phenomenal talent for good? You'll still make yourself, you can get a job anywhere with that kind of talent and make a great living, but no, you choose to steal. I mean, these serial killers, they're obviously very intelligent, because to plan something out like that and to execute it, no pun intended, but as skillfully as they do, like obviously this one, I mean, whoever did that, I mean, they did a phenomenal job.
Even if you're going down that dark road in a van and there's 2 or 3 people in the van, driver stops, door opens up, 2 of you get out, bang, she's in, you're gone within 30 seconds. Gone.
Exactly. Which
Gone.
makes me think about those 3 that worked at Loon Mountain.
Yeah. Yep. But no one ever brought them up again, so you don't know what happened. You know what I mean? It was, but then that was it. It was never brought up again.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like the blood on the wood chips from the A-frame house. Yes, they had human blood on them. Yes, there was male and there was female. And they ran the DNA. Whatever happened with that?
It was so old. It was so old, the DNA, that they couldn't get a reading off it, like a hit in the database. It was just too weak, too old, that they couldn't get a hit off it.
But it very well could have been hers, right?
Yeah, that was one of the houses along the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense that it was her blood.
And the owners who owned the house would never let the police come in or anybody come in. The only reason they got into the house, because the house was sold, and the new owners, went knocking on the door, and the new owner said, "Yeah, sure, come on in. Anything we can do to help."
Wow.
Yep.
Makes you
Nice
wonder
people.
about the previous owners.
I know.
Yeah.
Joe was saying it was the one he was talking about, the smiley face murders, due to smiley faces found next to the men's bodies. Yeah, that's worth checking out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. The smiley face
like
murders.
we say, we'll never run out of cases. So we're gonna wrap it up. And so once again, thanks to the usual suspects in the chat room, as well as the millions
and millions
of true crime fans around the world. And as I say every time, like I just said, we'll never run out of cases to talk about. So make sure you subscribe to the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel so you will not miss any episodes. Please do not forget to join yours truly and Dan Sebastiano tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for Dan and Benny in the Ring. So for the bad girl and Dangerous Dave, this is the one and only Playa telling everyone to stay safe and see you next crime. Night, guys.
Good night. Night, everyone.
Good night.